After thorough testing, I recently changed my everyday OC spray to Palm Personal Defense Spray. It's nasty stuff, and I recommend it highly. Now, here's a big one, and I see this all the time, especially for most of us. So I didn't hear from, okay, we have one current active pastor. Anybody else actively pastoring? One, okay, a couple others. So listen, the rest of us are lay leaders or potentially ordained leaders, but are not the pastor. So when you go back to pastor, if this is not something that he can swallow, you are done. Because you ever have this thing where somebody wants something really bad and the head dog doesn't? What happens when the head dog's not interested? It's dead, right? So we get this culture of openness versus a culture of security that we have to talk about, because what the ministry and mission of the church is incredibly important. And if you sacrifice the mission of the church in order to have security, what you got? I'll give you a great for instance, and it's one right here in y'all's backyard. Yesterday, we drove and stopped, and I flew into Kansas City, and then I drove into Topeka to have coffee with a friend of mine. So we stopped in Topeka, and having never been in Kansas for any length of time before, if you're in Topeka, Kansas, don't you have to stop by Westboro Baptist Church?
And you have to say Topeka.
Topeka. Okay. So I mean, I just felt like we had to, right? So have you been to their facility?
Yeah.
Big old fences up that are 8-foot fences. These big things that say security cameras in use, and basically a bunch of signs that say we hate you, go away. In pretty much no uncertain terms. Then you go across the street and it's like a rainbow painted house and a sign that says, please come on the property to take pictures, that's fine, we welcome you here. And I was like, what a stark difference between this welcoming signage and welcoming space, the yard was open, and this high fences, and, man, and I go, look, I don't know that either one of those are representing God particularly well, but I can tell you that culture of security versus a culture of openness will tell you some things about a congregation. You want a perfectly secure church? Hold it in prison. But you're going to have a little bit of a hard time inviting people to come and worship Jesus if your church culture is a prison. It's that simple, okay? Biggest thing I'm going to talk to you about today, we'll spend a good bit of time there, is the importance of verbal judo. The importance of learning how to de-escalate conflict. Of learning how to talk your way out of a fight. If you don't know how to do that, you will have problems. I can give you a for instance of this. A couple weeks ago, my middle daughter has a lot of challenges. Okay, my middle daughter is 16 years old, has had significant mental health challenges. We spent more time in 2017 inpatient than we did out in the community, okay? Real serious challenges. She's getting a little better in 2018. She had a blow up. Her and her mom, my wife, were having it out, whatever, and she looks at me after we've kind of calmed down. She goes, Pop, can we take a drive? I just need to get out of the house. I need to talk a little bit. Yeah, sure. So she likes to ride. I got a new car. I got a Mustang for Father's Day. Yeah! It's the Pharisees, the Christian Pharisees that go, oh, you used to love God, and now you drive a muscle car. I'm like, I paid less for it than my minivan. What do you want, right? Anyways. We take a drive. She wants a slushie, so we go to the convenience store. It's a local Stop and Rob, and she fills up her slushie, whatever. We go to pay for it, and this guy is kind of cuts in front of everybody and puts this 32-ounce tall boy down to pay for it, and then starts grumbling and leaves it on the counter there because I don't know if he didn't have enough money or whatever. And walks out all angry. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So we pay for our stuff. Now we walk out. And he is sitting in a parking spot right in front of the door. Then there is an aisle and a handicap parking spot. So we're kind of walking in this handicap parking spot, and he peels backwards this way and breaks the tires loose a little bit as he's backing out just as we're walking through this spot. So I put my hand out to hold my 16-year-old back, hold on, and I go, come on, man, you're okay, go ahead. Now, we're all adults here. Can I use adult language for a minute because it's what reality was? We're all adults, right? So I go, hey man, come on through this way. You're good. His passenger side window was down. He leans through and he goes, F you! Oh, I didn't realize we were having that kind of a conversation. Now I'm fully tooled up, right? So my response was to him, man, you're totally right. F me. We'll just wait. My bad, dude. And so then he just peels out of the parking lot uttering curses at me. I don't know why. But my verbal judo in that moment was just that, you know what? If that guy gets out of that car, this is not going to go well. I'm going to have to pull my pepper spray and hose this guy down. Or he gets out of the car and goes and gets a tire iron and he gets shot for that. That would have been stupid, right? So the funny ending of that story is he peels off, he's gone, that's fine, whatever. And my daughter's like, what was that? I go, I don't know, nothing, whatever. So we go walk to the car. There's two guys filling their motorcycles right next to the car where I parked it. And I go, hey guys, how are you? You know, nice bikes, I love motorcycles. And the one guy goes, hey, you're the ass guy, huh? And I was like, yeah, man, that's me. And he goes, that guy didn't know who he was screwing with. And I go, hey, I'm just glad it didn't escalate over verbal, right? So verbal judo, very important. Verbal judo, incredibly important because, listen, did I win that fight?
Yep. Yeah.
I think I did. Listen, it may not have been a fight, but I don't want to get in a fight. And if I can just sacrifice my ego, you win, buddy. You win. I'm totally cool with that. I don't have any repercussions of that. I'll never see that guy again. He's the alpha dog. That's fine. I ain't got no worries about that. Does that apply to church sometimes? Sometimes, in lots of ways. And then we're going to talk about formal versus informal security teams. And there is a place for both. Even in large churches where you have a formal security team, having informal security that supplements your formal security is critical and required. Now, in a smaller congregation, you cannot tell the difference between them because you probably don't have a formal security team, but your informal team is no excuse to be sloppy. It's no excuse to not be good. We want it to be for people to meet the family, to understand what it means to be a follower of Christ, and then to learn how to do that, to be a disciple. Okay? Uh-oh, John's going to hit a pastoral frustration, is that people separate evangelism and discipleship. Evangelism is discipleship. Mm-hmm. Teaching people how to follow Jesus from the first day you meet them. Now, of course, for them to follow Jesus, they have to know Jesus. So, I got to introduce you to Jesus. We call that evangelism, but that's the first stages of discipleship. And do I teach people, well, listen, be as moral as you want until you follow Jesus, until you believe in Jesus, I don't care. No, I start going, listen, to think about the things of God, let's start acting in ways that honor God while we learn who Jesus is. Okay? So, we want them to meet the family and learn to live as a Christ follower. Now, I love this analogy. And again, this might help you if your pastor is a little bit more reticent. If you invite someone over to your house and you say, I want to be hospitable. We should be hospitable, right? We're not talking about the church. We're talking about us as people. Do I want to be hospitable? Everybody should do this because you've read your Bible, right? This is a biblical imperative. You want to invite people in. You want to have people who are welcomed into your home. But let's just say I invite people into my home and I have angry rabid dogs and wires hanging out of the wall that are live and a hole in the floor. How safe and comfortable are people going to feel? Are they going to be like, man, I should really build some great relationship with this person? Or are they going to be like, dogs, could you keep your crazy raving mutt off me? And they, they're walking through and there's, electrical sparks and you go, just walk around that big hole. It's okay. Are they going to feel like, man, this is a place I want to be? No. Security and safety have to be there. So if I want people to feel welcome in my home, if I want them to build a relationship with them, I got to put the dogs away. I got to make sure that those wires are capped. I got to put something over that hole in the floor. So then that way I go, come on in and we can focus on getting to know each other. Well, this is the same thing at church. This is how I want you to think about church safety as the prerequisite for hospitality. Okay? If you want people to feel welcome and invited, safety is a prerequisite. You don't want them, so if we said, listen, welcome to our church family, and again, we've got concertina wire around the 12-foot fence around the outside, are people going to go, this is a place I want to be? Or are they going to go, what are we doing here? Now you might say, well, once I get to introduce myself to them, I say, listen, we have some challenges from outside, so this is just for all of us to be safe. Of course, everybody's welcome here. We just have to check everybody through this thorough screening process, and if you could go over to Station B for a pat-down, that would be great. You're not going to do that. Think instead as hospitality, okay? Think instead that, wait a minute, in order for us to welcome people, in order for us to bring safety into their world and for them to feel safe. Now, of course, I would say it's more important for people to be safe than to feel safe. But is it important for them to feel safe? Yes. We want that to be hospitable is what it is, and that means we eliminate as many safety problems as we can, and we minimize the safety problems that we can. It's the bottom line. I'll give you that difference between being safe and feeling safe. Safest mode of transportation in America? Anybody know?
School bus.
No.
Airplane. Train.
Airplane.
No.
Getting on an airplane, safest thing to do. Okay? I mean, your chances of dying on an airplane are ridiculously tiny. And yet, whenever I have turbulence in the air, I get anxious. Anybody else struggle with anxiety? I struggle with anxiety so much that my 13-year-old bought me a little emotional support duck. He's a 6-inch mallard. We call him Quackers. And you might see him on my book face. You might go on the Instagrams and you see my hashtag, where's Quackers? Because whenever I get on an airplane, Quackers is with me to help me not be anxious. Now, is that stupid? Yeah, he's a little focus that I use to remind myself Jesus is good and this is safe. It's okay. Okay? I get anxious. Why? I know better. This is the safest thing in the world. And yet, I still get anxious. What's going on? Why is the plane bumping? Planes bump. It's what they do. It's okay. But I still get anxious. I don't feel safe even though I am safe. That makes me not really love getting on airplanes, which is kind of funny for a guy who's traveling like, I think I've flown 18 times this year or something like that. One place or another, about a time and a half to 2 times a month. Like, stupid. So, feeling safe is important as being safe. You want people to feel safe in your church. You want them to feel that your church is open, welcoming, and inviting. And so therefore you have to be hospitable. So when you're thinking about your security plan, think, how do we eliminate safety problems so that we can be hospitable here? So that we can welcome people without a problem. That could be proactive in simple things like I look at my parking structure and I go, wait a minute, is this a welcoming and inviting place, or are there hiding spots here that people can get lost? Or when I say welcoming and inviting, what happens if we have a medical emergency? How do we communicate care for people here? And I think uniforms do project power. Is that the structure that you want? Maybe. In a bigger church, you go maybe. But would it be, if I said to my officer and said, hey man, I don't really want you in full battle rattle. I'd rather have you in muff tee and slacks. And yeah, have your radio on you, on lapel, but I don't need you in full battle rattle. Sure, if you want to carry, that's great. I totally am down with that. But I don't need you in full patrol. Especially because some in-town PDs now, their patrol uniform is pretty serious stuff, man. They're wearing, full vests now and all their kit up on their vest. What's that? What's that?
It's starting to look like Iraq.
Yeah, I mean,
Some pretty big vests.
And I get it, man. Full battle rattle is a thing, man. I got to be out there on patrol. That's a pretty serious thing. But for me and mine, I might say, hey, if I have to have a uniform, my prominent uniforms, can I just have muff tee and badge on belt? That might be, my best place. Sure, open carry, whatever. Everybody expects a cop to carry a gun. That's fine, no big deal. But I really want your radio nearby is what I really need. Oh, okay, maybe that's a better way. Projects more hospitality. Oh, why is the officer here? Oh, he's part of our safety team.